Look like Amber Cox has leaked some information to Fever insiders, letting them know the plans for the roster for the 2026 season.
So apparently, the Indiana Fever's front office just dropped some major offseason clues. And yep, Caitlyn Clark is right in the center of it all. GM Amber Cox sat down and laid out what could be one of the biggest offseasons in team history. Some of these plans sound bold, others totally unexpected. Should the Fever rebuild fully around Caitlyn Clark and Aaliyah Boston, or go all in chasing seasoned vets for a title push? Sound off in the comments. All right, let's break this down, because the Fever's front office finally said what everyone's been thinking out loud.
Basically, Amber Cox called up Adam Sandler in the movie Hustle and said, hey, we need some scouts overseas.
Amber Cox, Indiana's general manager, spoke with the Indy Star's Chloe Peterson this week and dropped enough details to keep Fever fans buzzing all winter. The big reveal: they're planning one of the most aggressive off-seasons this franchise has ever seen. And honestly, when you've got Caitlyn Clark and Aaliyah Boston on the same squad, you don't wait around, you attack the moment.
You go for it.
Amber Cox. All right, so Amber Cox ended up getting the question asked to her. With all the things going on with the CBA, you're sitting in the dark. How do they prepare? How do you prepare specifically for off-season events they don't have information on, right? Because they are in the dark. They don't know what's going to happen. We don't even know if 2026 is going to be.
Cox basically confirmed the Fever are done rebuilding. They're shifting straight into win now mode, but they've got to do it while balancing the uncertainty around the new CBA, the open market, and Kelsey Mitchell's contract status. Let's start there, because that's where things got interesting. Amber Cox fat out said re-signing Kelsey Mitchell is the team's main priority. That's not rumor, not gossip. That's straight from the GM.
And I think she was just saying how Kelsey Mitchell is their #1 priority, same as this year, right? In my opinion, man, I think the main thing that they need to focus on after getting your core back, I think you need to focus on a stretch 4 or a stretch 5. If you could get 2 of them, that would be grand. But a defensive stretch 4, stretch 5, that would be perfect.
And that really tells you two things. One, they know how crucial Kelsey's scoring was when Clark went down. Two, they also know losing her would completely shift the team dynamic. Mitchell was electric to close the year. When Clark was sidelined, she exploded. Her production spiked, showing she can run the offense when needed. Now, Indiana has a good problem, but still a problem. Mitchell's market value just skyrocketed. She's an unrestricted free agent, and every contender's watching. Chicago, Atlanta, even Portland's new franchise are circling. This sets up Indiana's biggest offseason decision. Do they lock in Mitchell with a supermax, or save that cap space for impact veterans? Cox hinted everything's in play. The team's motto, control the controllables. Translation, they're bracing for whatever the CBA brings, and that's wise. No one truly knows how the new deal will hit salary caps, overseas work, or player rights. There's even talk the core designation rule could vanish. If that happens, the free agency landscape flips overnight, and that's where the Fever could either rise or get caught off guard. Cox said they're preparing by ramping up scouting college, international, and free agency. They're also big on player growth plans, giving each athlete defined goals for the offseason. Here's the wild part. The Fever only have 3 players locked in for 20. You can guess who. Clark, Boston, and Michaela Timpson. That's it. The rest? Up in the air. Lexi Hull's restricted. Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell unrestricted. The roster could look brand new next season. Still, Cox isn't stressed, she said. Plan what you can and stay ready for the rest. Typical GM speak, sure, but between the lines, she's keeping cards close, because this offseason isn't just about deals, it's about rebuilding their system around Caitlyn Clark.
So basically, Amber Cox came back and said, I think we control the controllables, right? You start prepping for, obviously, the college season, for what's going on internationally, planning out our scouting, both domestically and internationally.
The Fever finally saw what Clark can do with shooters around her. The ball moves, the spacing clicks, the energy lifts. So what's next? Cox didn't drop names, but dropped a hint. They're after players who fit the system. That's GM code for not hunting stars, hunting fits. And that's smart. This team doesn't need another ego in the spotlight. It needs vets who defend, rebound, and hit open shots when Clark and Boston get doubled. But things took a turn, because not all the post-interview chatter was calm. Mitchell posted a cryptic message on Instagram right after the piece dropped, and fans went wild. The part that stood out, 0 gone. Her jersey number, 0. So what's she saying? Is she leaving Indy or just unplugging for the offseason? Nobody's sure, but it feels like she's thinking things over. That loops Clark right back in, because Mitchell's surge came during Clark's absence. She got touches, shots, and freedom. When Clark's back, that spotlight shifts again. That's not easy. Nobody loves going from lead scorer to second option, and Mitchell's too good to ignore it. If she stays, it's belief in winning. If she leaves, it's about opportunity to lead her own team. That's what makes this offseason fascinating. Cox knows losing Mitchell cuts deep, but she also knows Clark is the franchise cornerstone now. The system, training, and scouting all orbit her. And that's where Cox's remarks got revealing. She said they're customizing player development to individual strengths, meaning Clark's entire offseason plan shapes the roster style. Expect more spacing, smoother pick and rolls with Boston, and defensive help to ease her workload. It's the right call. Clark doesn't need to do everything. She needs the right pieces around her. So while fans debate contracts, the real story is Indiana's laying the blueprint for contention. If they land this offseason, they're not just playoff bound, they're in the championship mix. But here's the twist. If the CBA chaos drags on, all this planning could stall because no one knows the new salary framework yet. If core rights vanish, Mitchell could walk without a tag. So time's ticking for Cox, juggling deals, scouting, and chemistry. And yes, Clark's recovery plan factors in too. Whether she's training, resting, or doing media, she remains the face of the Fever. So no shock Cox called this their most critical offseason yet, because it'll determine whether the Fever stay promising or start winning trophies. Now let's talk what this means for Clark herself. Amid all the contract talk, Cox quietly confirmed they're reshaping everything around Clark's health and growth. She said the team's already collaborating with staff on a recovery and strength program just for her. Simply put, they're not rushing her. She'll return only when fully ready, and the roster will match that timeline. It's about durability now, not minutes. The Fever know Clark's longevity equals their future. Cox also said they want to pair her with more defensive guard. That's the biggest offseason clue yet. It means they need a veteran stopper who lets Clark focus on offense. That also explains the Fever scouts spotted in Europe and Asia late season. Insiders say they've zeroed in on a few international guards who bring defense in range. Names aren't public, but the intent is clear. Strengthen the perimeter. And for once, Indiana sounds like they have a plan. Cox also admitted the Fever leaned too much on Clark and Boston. She said, when stars are that young, it's tempting to run everything through them. But to win, we need balance. She's spot on. No one can ask Clark to play 38 minutes, score 25, and defend elite guards nightly. That's not sustainable. So they'll add role players who shoot, defend, and rebound. The areas that vanish when Clark double teams hit, and the coaching elements. Stephanie White's comments were guarded. She said she's focusing on the moment, safe coach talk, basically. But it didn't sound like total confidence. She knows pressure's coming, because if Indiana doesn't break through next season, the heat's on. With Clark, Boston, and maybe Mitchell, it's win time. Here's a surprise. Clark's offseason might skip heavy live work early. Word is she's doing a new shot efficiency program using motion sensors to refine release speed and decision-making. It's not reinventing her, it's sharpening her edge. The Fever love it, because when she's spacing the floor, everything opens for Boston. When she's off, it clogs fast. Expect a full-time shooting coach soon. Maybe from the men's college ranks dedicated to Clark and the guards. Cox also said they'll run a chemistry minicamp just for Clark, Boston, and the wings. That means extra reps for Timpson, Cunningham, and whoever fills that forward slot. Back to Kelsey Mitchell, her decision changes everything. If she resigns, Clark plays alongside another scorer who draws doubles. If she leaves, Clark shoulders too much again. That's risky for longevity. Some insiders think Mitchell might test free agency, then circle back. Others think she's gone. Indiana's prepping both ways. They're scouting combo guards and wings who can share ball handling. And here's the wild part. They're not limiting themselves to WNBA names. They're looking at Olympic-level overseas vets. Cox hinted international talent's part of the plan. Smart, given potential WNBA expansion in China. She said, "We're watching the global scene closely." Translation, they want to build those ties early. That also fits with Clark's international marketability. If exhibition games hit Asia, she'll headline. The Fever brand revolves around her now, and Adam Silver knows it. So this offseason isn't just about wins, it's global positioning. Cox even said they're reviewing international travel plans. That's not random, that's prep for overseas play. While fans argue free agents, the Fever are setting up to be the league's global face.
Now money talk.
The Fever's ownership knows what they've got. Sellouts, record viewership, merch flying off shelves. That gives them spending power. Cox didn't share numbers, but said ownership's investing in facilities, wellness, and travel. Charter flights, finally consistent, plus expanded local marketing for players. Expect Clark, Boston, and others front and center in new campaigns. It's all part of turning the Fever into more than a team, a brand. And this part's key. Cox said leaders are now involved in planning. Translation, Clark's got a voice at the table. She's earned it. Her impact literally saved league ratings. You bet they're listening. So when people ask the Fever's blueprint, simple. Keep Mitchell if they can, add veteran defense and shooting, expand globally, and keep Clark healthy and motivated. It's not complicated, it's timing, it's execution. What do you think? Should Indy go all in to keep Kelsey Mitchell or stack the roster around Clark and Boston? Drop your thoughts, hit like, and subscribe for more real WNBA talk. Because if the Fever nail this offseason, we could be watching the rise of the next WNBA powerhouse.